Hi everyone, it's Queen Irene here and welcome to the channel at queenirene.peters. I am picking up where I left off in my previous video where I shared that I decided to get married. Naturally, with such a big decision as that, plans would change and I had to make some other decisions which would rearrange my plans going forward. But I want to share with you one decision that I made that I had to look back at my younger 22-year-old self and said, girl, you are brave. So I want to share that with you along with the key reasons that I decided to marry my husband. So stick around for the details. Welcome back to the story. Of course, you knew that I was studying at the time when I met my husband. I was pursuing the Association of Accounting Technicians program at the College of Art, Science and Technology, CAST, now UTech. When I met my husband, after we started dating, we decided that we would start a business. That would have been in the previous video, so if you didn't watch that, I suggest that you watch that so you can catch up with the details. So we registered the business and we decided that we were getting married. So getting married in itself is a big decision as a 22-year-old, and I was studying at the time. But when I thought about it, I said, I don't think I'll be able to manage going into a business, being married, and studying at the same time. All of this would be just too much for me. And I thought about it and I said, I think the best thing for me right now is to pull out of the studies. So I suspended the studies. The decision was really my decision. I was not pressured into it. My husband didn't ask me to do that. I just felt that I couldn't handle everything at the same time. And I made that decision that I would suspend it. We made the decision that I would continue at some time in the future. And at that time, I thought it would have been accounting just the same. But as you knew from the previous video, it didn't turn out that way. But along with the suspension of the studies was the fact that I had taken a student loan. So some people would consider that really maybe a bad decision that I pulled out of my studies with a loan. That was my decision, and I was prepared for the consequences, and the consequence was to pay it back. I did pay it back, fully liquidated, after I started the business. Well, I started paying it back once I stopped, as you have to start paying it back, and I fully liquidated the loan over time. Now, disclaimer, I just want to say to younger people who are watching this video that this may have worked for me, it may not work for you, and one size doesn't fit all. But I am naturally a risk taker, and I decided that that's the way I wanted to go. Life in itself is a risk, and it is not linear. So I just wanted to point out that everything will not naturally flow in the direction you want it all the time. And I had no idea that marriage was going to come into play at that time when I was 22 years old. So I decided I couldn't handle everything at the same time, and I just wanted to focus on the new business that we had formed and also getting married. And a lot of planning is involved in getting married and just now being a wife. So I just decided that I couldn't handle it and I would go back later. I committed to myself that I would study later on, and I did. But as you knew from what I said in the previous video, that I did not pursue accounting in the end. I ended up doing something completely different altogether, and so I did construction engineering. Well, that's the Bachelor's of Science. I actually did certificates, 2 certificates, a 1 year, a 3 year, a diploma in construction management and then a Bachelor's of Science in construction engineering and management. So I just want to point out that not everything can be reasoned by logic. Sometimes you have to trust your gut, which is a sixth sense. And sometimes that experience is worth reasoning over logic. So now to the reasons, the key reasons why I decided to marry my husband. What were the things that sealed the deal? The list is very long, but I've shortened it to just the things that are not the normal things. I suppose we don't know normal over here. So I will tell you those things that were part of my decision making. Reasons why I decided to marry my husband was because I knew him before, I knew his character, I felt safe with him, he's respectful, we communicated well, we became friends. I also admired his work ethics, the ambitions that he had for himself, and what he expressed with me. I was also impressed with the fact that he was able to make his intentions known from early in the dating process. He said that he was really looking for a wife. He wanted to settle down and serve the Lord, and that was key to it. And the final one, I would say, not least, and it's not exhaustive, but the last thing that I think sold the package was because he wanted to lead his wife and his family to God. He was attending church at the time. He was not a confirmed Christian, but he was attending church. And I was brought up in church. At that time of my life, I was not going to church. I had just pulled back from church, wasn't going in that direction at all, lost that focus. And when he mentioned that to me, it clicked something. And even before we got married, we started attending church together. Well, he was already attending church, and then he took me along. And that was so profound, because as someone who was not a practicing Christian, he wanted to serve the Lord, take his wife with him along, and then subsequently his family. That was his ambition for his life, overall, his family life. And I was very impressed by that, and that sold me. So that is why I had to give up the studies and get married, because that's not easy to find. And after 32 years, soon be 33, I still have not seen much of that. Very rare, where a man is leading his family into Christ. Sometimes I even feel a little discouraged and he's the one to say, oh yeah, no, I'm going to church, we're going to church, and so on and so forth. So I just want to say that, God is good, and when the Lord has a plan for you, sometimes you don't understand it. And some of the decisions that I made, I knew that they were not entirely my decisions. Because right now, I'm looking back and I have wondered, how did you make that decision as a young girl? Why you did that? Because practically, how many people would say, I'm going to give up my studies to get married? What a risk. Although life is, in general, is a risk, but what if the marriage didn't work? And then you end up without no education, tertiary level education. So that was a big risk to take, but I felt like it was divine intervention. I don't think that I made those decisions entirely on my own. It was because of the whole package that my husband was putting forward, and the love for God, and God blessed him. because he wanted a wife, someone to serve the Lord with him. And right now we continue to do that together for over 32 years. So we are going right along, and it's just marvelous. So young people, especially, I just want to say that, as I said before, my experience may not be yours, but I just want to encourage you that the Lord has a plan for everybody. And especially if you put your hands into his hands, answer the call, he will look out for you. Because his love is greater far than tongue or pen can ever tell. And I'm experiencing the love of God, because the love of God is passed down to a wife through her husband. Because that's what the Lord said, that the husband should love his wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. And that love is being passed out to me through my husband. So I just want to share basically this testimony of, how we got married, the decisions I made. May have seemed like a bad decision to some people at the time. Maybe it was against societal norms, but it's this decision that I made. And as I said, I was prepared for the consequences. But with our hope and trust in God, we knew that it could work out, and it has been working out, because we are still going good guns. So again, thank you for watching, and look out for more. Next time I'll be sharing more about my career in construction, or tips relating to those areas and business. But if you have something specific that you would like me to talk about, then you can make that request in the comment, and I'll see if it's something that I can share. Thank you for engaging. Again, if you haven't subscribed as yet, please do so. Like, share, and let me know how I'm doing with this content. Bye for now.